Friends, welcome to another More Than Anxiety success story. Today, I'm honored to introduce Crystal, a powerful soul, a psychic medium, yoga teacher, and mother of four, who's been through the depths of anxiety, health anxiety, and chronic fatigue, and found her way through. Crystal's story really is one of resilience, transformation, and deep healing. And I encourage you to watch this interview all the way through. Her insights might be exactly what you need to hear on your own journey. And when you're ready, leave a like and a comment below with what your biggest More Than Anxiety moment was from this interview. And friends, enjoy. Welcome to another More Than Anxiety success story. Today we're joined by Crystal Lefay, a psychic medium, 500-hour yoga teacher, and mother of four adult children. At 48, Crystal has lived through a lifetime of anxiety and chronic fatigue, but it was in 2018 that everything hit hardest. And everything began to change. So in this honest and powerful conversation today, Crystal shares how she went from barely surviving to finally healing. So let's dive into her story. Crystal, thank you for your time, first of all.
No problem.
Awesome. Let's start with when you realized there was a problem. What were the signs? What were some of the symptoms? Maybe some unconscious behaviors or things like that. When did you know there was something that was truly off, Crystal?
Well, I started noticing that I was just checking like my body constantly, always checking for symptoms and feeling like even in my unconscious, there was like I could feel my brain just like checking through. Like even when I was starting to feel good, like on my good days, I'm like, I'm good, everything's good, but my brain tend to like was like scanning my body constantly, trying to figure out, is there something wrong? What's this mean? What does that symptom mean? Type of thing. And then yeah, I just and I was realizing that I was going to a lot of doctor's appointments that were really unnecessary. And the doctors, it's like the tests were coming back fine. Everything was fine. They kept telling me, numerous different doctors kept telling me, and I like got checked from my head to my toes, and everything was fine. And they just kept saying, like, you're healthy. You're like one of the healthiest people we've ever met. Like, you are so healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. And yeah, then I was like, yeah, then it has to be something else.
Mm. So, was there anything prior to the checking? Did you find that you were going through either a kind of a stressful experience for those couple weeks, months, years that led to it? And kind of from childhood, how was it during childhood? I'm curious.
Um, well, in childhood, yeah, I was always thinking I was sick. I always had a stomach ache. I always had something going on. And as I was getting older, um, my mom didn't take me to a lot of doctors. She kind of dismissed a lot of things. She just kind of ignored what I was telling her. And then as I got older, on my own, I started going to doctors, like every symptom, every time something would come up, anything, especially if it had to do with it, anytime I got sick. The moment I got sick, it was like everything spiraled. I was like, it had to be in my head the worst case scenario. And I would go to multiple doctors throughout my whole entire life. And then it seemed like for a minute there, I got it under control. But now looking back, I realized it was because I was just working a lot. I was just so busy that I put my energy and time in my clients and their issues, and it kind of like deflected mine. So I was able to ignore it for a bit. And then in 2018, I woke up out of bed, and I had a massive headache. And I ended up having a brain bleed, a stroke, and a brain tumor all at the same time, out of the blue. And then that's when it got, because I started healing from that, and I was fine. Like probably about a year later, I was doing really good, and the doctors kept telling me I'm fine, but I kept saying I wasn't. And
Mm.
in reality, I was fine. The scans were fine, everything was fine. Yeah, and then I got in a car accident in 2019 and got another brain injury,
Mm.
among other injuries. And so those two things together, so close together, it sent me in such a huge spiral because I was healing fine. And it was like I could legitimately see like my body, my brain, everything was fine. But internally, I was like, no, there's got to be something wrong. Every time I had a new symptom, every time something spiked up, I dealt with dizziness for 6 years
Mhm.
after that. And I went to doctor after doctor. I went to my brain doctor so many times. And luckily, I got really good doctors, and they're so kind. And every time they would do the scans and they would explain to me like what was going on, and everything was fine. I had my ears checked. I went and had my eyes checked. I had everything checked. And every doctor said, there's nothing wrong. You should not be dizzy.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong.
Yes.
I had no idea dizziness was a health anxiety symptom until I discovered you.
Yes. Yes. That is a very, it's such a common symptom. It's unbelievable, in fact. And, people will go down all sorts of paths and roads to figure out where this is coming from and just keep searching and searching, which actually just perpetuated the anxiety more, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it just made it worse.
Crystal, what I'm curious about is, did you recognize any kind of subconscious programs lying deep within? Did you uncover some of those that may have led to some of the physical challenges, maybe even the car accident? When I mean subconscious program, was there a program that said maybe you're not deserving of X, or you need to sabotage your recovery? If something good happens to you, it won't last very long. Did you uncover some of those programs in connection with the difficulties physically?
Oh yeah. A
Yeah.
hundred, yeah, 100%. It was really realizing I I felt that, well, this goes back to childhood. Like
Mm.
I only got attention when I was sick, or I would complain when I was sick. So like my mom was busy, single mom and all that stuff, but it's like she would stop if I was sick. And so unconsciously, I think I did that throughout my childhood to get her attention. And then as an adult, yeah, definitely. And I definitely feel that through the accident and through everything in the last, 6 years or so, um, that unconscious has been there, like, because I got a lot of attention. Like people like rallied around me, and I so appreciate that, and I love that. And in the moment that I needed it, it was there. But after I didn't need it anymore, I still like felt like I needed it. And so it would make me, yeah, it'd make me sick. I would like have all these weird symptoms when I was fine. But when I go to the doctors, I get attention. When I, talk to my friends, I get attention. My husband gave me more attention. And yeah, it was definitely that unconscious need for attention, stemming from childhood, that made the symptoms worse.
And it's interesting because you came across those kinds of programs, you came across those kinds of belief systems, but a lot of people don't, or they don't want to admit that it actually has something to do with what's taking place on the inside or in connection with what's going on the outside. Was there some I mean, how did you come in contact with these kinds of programs, these beliefs? Did you kind of, was it meditation? Was it faith? Was it a book that you said, wow, these are deep, hidden layers that need to be kind of peeled? How?
Well, it began, I'm very spiritual, and my spirituality is huge in any of my recovery. And so it definitely began with my spirituality, and it definitely began with I meditate every day. So it definitely began with that. But um, I didn't even know there was a thing called health anxiety. I didn't know it was a thing until I legitly discovered you. I think it was in like 2020. And I was just doing one of those searches, like searching symptoms, searching this, searching that. And then one of your videos or something popped up, and I'm like, whoa, okay. And then I started watching more of your videos, and the deeper I got into your videos and the deeper you got into, I think you did a video about spirituality too at one time, and it blew me away. And I'm like, okay, this isn't out here. The problem isn't out there. My solution isn't going to come from out there. It's not going to come from the doctors. It's not going to come from my friends. It's not going to come from my husband. It's not going to even come from the anxiety guy. It's got to come from me. Oh, okay. And it was, I felt so embarrassed about it, and just so like, yeah, it was not an easy process to go through to realize that it was in here.
Yes. And during the process, did it feel, because I know a lot of people are kind of going through this particular phase now where it's very, and sometimes it can last a very long time, where it's very messy and things come up and they keep coming up and keep coming up and things get worse before they're getting any better. And people are going, well, is what I'm doing actually working or not? Do you remember when it was super, super hard and you were doing the right things during that time, and what kept you going? What kept you going in the path of healing when things got very messy?
I remember it was actually right before I started your university program, and I was waking up in nighttime panic attacks out of the blue, and it was causing a lot of physical symptoms. And I would have my husband rush me to the hospital all the time. And it got to the point that my husband said, "You're fine. We're not going to the hospital. It's anxiety, Crystal."
Ooh.
And it would spike when I was really sick. And that I was so upset at him at that time. I was so angry at my husband. I'm like, why aren't you helping me? You don't understand. You're not helping me. And he was helping me. And so when I enrolled in your program, I was just to the point that I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed anymore. I don't want to, no, I don't even want to do nothing because I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of just everything health wise that I just rather just stay in bed. I'm safer there. And yeah, I just started putting the pieces together as I started going through your program and started realizing that, yeah, okay, there's more here um, than I realize.
During, it's interesting, Crystal, during the meetups that we have monthly, there, when when you come and you speak about certain things that you're doing and have done and that are contributing to your healing, a lot of times people don't necessarily think they'll work for anxiety. And one of the things that you mentioned that is very powerful and worked for me is, and I think you mentioned it a few times, but it's like, it's kind of like the word baseline. Because when you think about anxiety, it's kind of like, well, a lot of when you're starting the journey, it's calm yourself down, and there's this continuous push, there's mental push, there's emotional push, there's behavioral push, that sort of thing, which in a lot of ways gets us into this, this whole cycle in the first place. But for you, what seems to be really be working is to recognize maybe a baseline and not venture too far up or down from that baseline. And you mentioned slowing things down to the speed of like an elderly person. So I want to
Yeah.
go into the baseline. First of all, how is that working, and what sort of things, can you share with others in regards to baseline?
Um, well, with the baseline, I tend to move slower. I'm calmer. I stay, I, I don't get in my head too much. I
Mm.
don't, um, I, trying to think of the words. I keep saying the word boring. Like I'm
Mm.
very boring. Like
Mm.
it's just, and it's not a bad thing. And I actually like being boring now. My life is it's become very just, it's calmer. And I'm not, when things happen, when I feel it happen, when I get sick, because I've gotten sick, I've had things happen during the last few months. And before I would just be like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Oh, geez, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to go to the doctor. I got to do this. I got to do that. Remaining calm and just letting it play out. Like I can feel the anxiety inside of me. I can feel the burning inside of me. Like we need to Google. We need to reach out to someone. We need to do this. We need to do that. And what I've found that is if I just surrender to it and just be there with it and don't try to escape it anymore, it keeps me level. Instead of like trying to find a solution, I just let it be there and almost let it speak. And and it's like I'm beginning to find a lot of wisdom in this space with it, and realizing that the majority of, well, all of it really comes from fear and the need to want to feel safe. And I just want to feel safe.
Yes. So more than the words, or more than things like affirmations, or maybe even more than a forceful approach to trying to convince the nervous system that you are safe, you decided that your life is completely going to change. And instead of, social gatherings or finding the next thing to do or a new project, which, creatively is fine, but instead of doing, pushing, you said, I'm going to live a more of a boring life. And that in turn
Yeah.
has helped the nervous system to go, okay, we're still paying attention every moment of the day, right? And it's contributed to lessening the anxiety. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I I realized that the nervous system just needs to be listened to. It needs to be heard. And sometimes mine likes to scream at me, and it comes in the form of health anxiety. And so when it does that, I do meditation, I do yoga, I do all that stuff all day long. Like I legitly, I do the affirmations, I do all the things that you're
Yes.
supposed to do. And in reality, when I was doing all those things, trying to help the health anxiety, trying to heal, it wasn't helping. It didn't heal it. I do those things now because it makes me feel good, and it just helps me stay at that baseline. But in reality, it was, yeah, pulling back and just listening to my nervous system and honoring that and going, okay, even though we used to go to these big events, even though I used to teach big events, and even though we used to do these things, it's not good for you. It's not good for your nervous system. It sends all these alarms up and it's not healthy. So what's the alternative? So I'm finding different ways to listen and honor what my nervous system needs.
Yes.
And in that's where I found my peace. That's where I'm finding my healing, is
Wow.
just listening to what my nervous system needs in that moment.
Wow. That's huge. It's like you'll tell a lot of people that, the pathway to recovery and healing goes through this building of a new relationship with what it is you are experiencing, feeling, sensation wise or thought wise, this sort of thing. And it doesn't really click until the person starts to really invest in a new idea and to live their life in a way that is much slower, less stimulating, I would say. That would be the word. And it's just such the example here, Crystal, it's such a good example of what's possible for anybody else if they can just, and it does take a lot of patience, doesn't it? I mean, to live this way, to get away from the social media and the noise, it's very noisy. Talk about the patience aspect. When you do want to go back to that world, how do you stay here?
Who patience is something I've had to build. I've had to build patience with it because I'm a very because of dealing with health anxiety my entire life, I think I've just been conditioned to move fast. Move fast, because if you move fast and you're constantly doing things, then you don't feel things, or you can't pay attention to things. It's just move fast, move fast. And that's been my whole life until 2018. And then I had no choice. My brain was like hurting. I had no choice but to slow down. I had to reevaluate my whole life and look at what was happening and what I needed to do different. And so I began the process of building patience with myself through the recovery of the brain injuries.
Yes.
Um, and, honestly, as I was healing that, I thought I was good. And then here comes health anxiety again, and which it does. And so I was like, okay, I have just something else has to change. And so I had to look at my whole life. I had to look at what I was feeding my body, mind, and spirit on a regular basis when it comes to social media, when it comes to activities, food, what I was doing spiritually, all that stuff. I had to reevaluate my whole entire life and legitly become a different person in order to heal. And patience has been was so challenging. And I spent a long time beating myself up with the setbacks and just back and forth and stuff. But once I got it, once I got the nervous system work, once I got, okay, this is different.
Yes.
Once I got that, I mean, the nervous system is everything. And it's like, once you understand that within yourself and understand how to work with it instead of against it, and that means you might have to give up stuff. You might have to stay away from certain environments. You might have to, I used to spend a lot of time online because I had a business. I was online all the time.
Yes.
And so I had to learn how not to do that. And so when I want to go back, like, because I do, it's like, oh, I miss fun, quick Crystal.
Yep.
I miss her. She was fun. And when I start to do that thinking, I just remind myself that that wasn't healthy. It's not healthy. And there's a better way. And in order for me to have the energy that I need to heal anything or to even help people, I have to regulate my nervous system daily
Daily.
and make sure that I am checking in and doing that.
Can you mention the app that you use? Was it not? It wasn't an app. It was something else. But that is very powerful to keep the person accountable and in line with this kind of lifestyle rather than the stimulating one. How did you
Oh,
go about with the phone? How do you use that? I think a lot
yeah.
of people will benefit from that.
Well, I realized that I have to check in with myself
Yes.
on a regular basis.
Yes.
And so I had to look at, you know, and actually it depends on my schedule with the check-ins. It depends on what's going on.
Right.
Now, if I have to go to an environment that is going to be faster pace or there's going to be a lot going on, I'm going to have to check in with myself more often
Mm,
than
mm,
late.
mm,
If I'm at home, I can check it, it can push out a little bit. So when I'm at home, I set my alarm on my phone to go off every 2 hours. And I've set it to certain songs that make me feel good, that like make me want to stop and listen. And so I set it to every 2 hours, it goes off and a song happens and it makes me stop. And that's my indication to go, drop in and go, what's going on? Do you need to eat? What's going on, body, mind, spiritually? Just
mm,
check everything.
mm,
And um and then if I'm sick, because that's usually when the health anxiety spikes. If I get sick, I have to check in with myself almost every hour just
mm.
to make sure that I'm not spiraling and that I'm where I'm supposed to be. And so I just check in and go, okay, these are normal feelings. You're sick. It's a normal thing. It's okay. We're good. What's your nervous system need in this moment? What do you need to feel safe?
Yes.
And then I go on to the next thing, you know. But yeah, the check-ins can vary depending on the circumstances, but it's so important for me, especially. I have to check in with myself because I have spent so many years going at it such a fast rate of not checking in myself and ignoring myself for so long that if I don't set a timer to check in with myself, I won't. So it's so important to have that as a tool.
I love it. I love that tool. I mean, I do it as well in a different way, but I love the way you do it with the music. Um, and that is so important. I mean, the checking can be, and I'm guessing it's intuitive. It's like, what does my nervous system need? It needs a hug. Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and give him that, right? Let's do a deep breath, or let's write this down, or let's release this, or let's speak up. I love that. Um, the thing with anxiety and health anxiety sufferers, I've noticed a lot, is that they'll get very excited about something and that could work. Like, oh, I read that thing in the book, and I'm going to commit to that, right? And you can relate. And and it lasts, on average, I've seen it last about 4 days. That's kind of the average I've seen people when that shiny, flashy object shows up or that solution shows up, they give it 4 days until they realize and look deep within and go, well, it's not working because I don't feel any different. And where's the next solution? It's either in a video or an audiobook or something like that. How have you been able to be so consistent with with the tools that you're sharing with us? Is it like, do you just go, well, I just, you mentioned it. I know that if I waver off this path, I'm gonna feel like that again, or that symptom's gonna come back again, or what keeps you on this path is my question, Crystal.
There's a lot of things. But basically is I'm learning that I have to show up for myself because I'm such a giver and I love to help people. And that's like my whole career has been helping people. And I love helping people. And I've used my life as an example to help others. And so I realized that I can't help anybody if I'm not showing up for myself
Mm.
and doing the work and being consistent with it and showing up every single day doing something to make sure that I'm taking care of myself in the way that I need to. And then, the other thing is I have 4 kids and they're all adults and they all experience like my 17-year-old came to me in last year and it's like, I have anxiety. What do I do? And so because I'm so open with them with my journey, I'm able to help them. And so now through what I'm learning with my healing, I'm able to put that into my kids now as adults so they don't have to repeat the cycles. So they can stop that. So I just want to be a good example for my kids and show them that there's a lot of people that say that you can't heal from health anxiety. There's a lot of people that say that you can't heal anxiety. I hear that all the time. And that never set right with me. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I don't feel that way. I think that you can heal from anything if you set your mind to it, if you're consistent, if you show up and you do the work. And um and I've just set, no matter what, I'm going to do this work. And if I have to do this work for the rest of my life, I'm going to continue to be healed because that's just how it has to be.
Yes, yes, I love it. Um, I just have one more question because, and this is so inspirational. I think whoever's listening right now, if you wouldn't mind just adding a comment below for Crystal or myself on what the biggest epiphany or moment of clarity is for you so far. But when these changes start to happen, Crystal, and you make the decision that, okay, this is who we were, and as I commit to this whole journey and give the self-love and the time to myself that I need, slowing things down, using this beautiful tool as the app, so on and so forth, you tend to realize that you become someone different than you were before, someone that's a bit more unfamiliar, and now you're that person. So now this new Crystal has to go to the grocery store. She has to get in her car and drive with someone beside her. This new Crystal has to go to the cafe, sit there and converse with the people there, for example. How do you now interact with the world as this new identity? Is there a feeling of what the hell are you doing? Right? You need to make sure that people approve of what it is you say, or the whole people-pleasing perfectionism thing that get us in the pickle in the first place. Does that stuff show up still, or are you just so grounded in this new identity that you're just very comfortable with who you are now? But how do you interact with the world with this new you? Is my question.
So I've come up with this affirmation or mantra or something in my head that I say when I go out into the just wake up. And I just realized that, because when I was trying to do my recovery and before, and I was trying to heal, trying, I was
Mm.
expecting my life to just be perfect. It has to be perfect all the time in order for me to be healed. At one point I said, I need to just be in this little bubble and everything will be fine. And life happens.
Like,
That's what I tell myself. Life happens. Things happen. People die. You get sick. You have to deal with bills. You have to go to the grocery store. Things happen. You want to have fun. So you want to go to places that have bigger, you're going to have to go to a place that has more people sometimes. It's just going to happen. I can't keep myself in this little bubble and be afraid to live my life. So with the healing, and how I show up in the world now is that I just remind myself of my tools and I use the tools when I need them. When I go to the grocery store, I use my tools. I think about, okay, I ahead of time, I just kind of have a checklist. Okay, this is what I'm going to need for this situation. This is what I'm going to use. And if, something happens, that's okay. It's okay, because things are still going to happen. I'm still going to get sick. I'm going to still, go through all these experiences, but I have so many tools now that I'm just I'm amazed of how this has played out. It's been like almost, I don't know, 3 or 4 months since I've been consistently doing it. And that to me is the key. Consistent.
Consistent.
Showing up, doing it.
Yes. Yes.
You can't expect something to change and to be a new person if you don't consistently do the things to make you be that way.
Yes.
And so when I go out in the world now as me, I just take those tools with me and I remind myself I'm not the same person as I was. I don't have to react that way anymore. I don't have to, and do those thoughts still come in my head? Sometimes they
Mm.
come in,
Mm.
but now I can, like, I have a conversation with them. Like, we're not doing this anymore. We're good. We're fine.
Yes.
And if it gets overwhelming, then I use my tools.
Yes. Beautiful. Crystal LaFay, you have inspired us. You've given us tools. You shared your story. And no matter where the listener is in their journey, I do believe they're going to get something out of this. So I just want to say thank you for being so open and sharing your journey. I hope it's okay to catch up again, maybe 6 months, a year down the road, see how things are unfolding. And is there
Absolutely.
any final things that, or one thing that you'd like to share for someone who's going through a particularly difficult time? I mean, anxiety can hit you in so many different ways, and they're going through a difficult time right now. What would you tell that person?
I would tell them that you're not alone in this journey. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be embarrassed of. And that healing is possible. And you'll get through it.
I love it. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate your time. And is it okay if somebody has a question or two to contact you directly in some way? Maybe I'll put a link or two in the description of this video. So would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So if you want
Yes.
to contact Crystal, check some of the links in the description. And we are continuing to do our monthly get-togethers, our meetups in the Health Anxiety University, if you'd like to come and hang out with myself and Crystal. So thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate you and your time and your energy. And I look forward to catching up again soon. So bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.